everyone. Welcome to the Right Crowd 2021. I am here for Children's Book Nook with this wonderful array of authors. It is so very exciting. I am very, very, very interested just in all of you all. You guys are amazing. And being able to have all of you share your stories and your insights because you have so many wonderful messages. You all are wonderful people with beautiful hearts. And I'm so excited to be able to showcase you all to multiple audiences. It's going to be a fantastic time. So I do have Children's Book Nook all ready and set up. I've got my questions. It's going to be a fun time. We have a couple of people coming in, logging on and saying hello. And momentarily, you all are going to be able to introduce yourself, say hi, tell the audience who you are, what you write, all of those fun and awesome things. And for everyone watching, be sure to say hello. You can hop on and you can leave a comment, say hi, you can ask a question. It's going to be a super awesome fun time. So let me see if I can bring up cool thing. Yes. So this is the Right Crowd 2021, a virtual literary expo. And today, right now, this panel is all about Children's Book Nook in terms of fun children's stories with different messages. We have people from all different places here. We've got Valley representation. We've got San Antonio representation, and we'll talk about that momentarily. So we can begin by having everyone introduce themselves and share a little bit about themselves. So beginning with Miss Rhonda Brown, say hi, where you're tuning in from, what you've written, all that fun stuff.
Well, good morning. My name is Rhonda Brown, and I am tuning in from the great city of San Antonio, Texas. Love it. It is wonderful weather here right now. I am a children's book author. I've written 2 books. The first book is Creation, That's Me, and the second one is a spinoff from Creation, That's Me, and it's Created to Be, Yes, It's Me. So glad to be here.
I love it. Thank you so very much. And Mr. David Norrick, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you tuning in from? And just what have you written? What's going on? Give us the 411 on yourself.
Yeah, hey, good morning. My name is David Norek. I'm the author of this book right here, The Adventures of Exo and Psy. I am tuning in from McAllen, Texas, the fattest city in the United States of America for the 4th year in a row. Imagine that. But that's why this book, Exo and Psy, is perfect for this area. So happy to be here. Thank you, Katelynn, for organizing this.
Of course. Thank you so very much for being here. It's always a pleasure to see you and have you on. And Miss Claudia Villarreal, tell us a little bit about yourself. What have you written? Give us all the information.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me here today. I am in San Antonio, Texas, San Antonio, and I'm excited to be here. And I've written 2 children's books, The Alphabet Thief Who Stole the Vowels and The Bully Who Learned to Love. The Bully Who Learned to Love is back there. Here is The Alphabet Thief Who Stole the Vowels. And I have a 3rd one I'm working on, so I'm excited about that. Very, very excited. And other things I will tell you about.
Wonderful. I love it a lot. And we are also going to be joined by Ramirez, but I know that he had a little bit of technical difficulties, but he has great children's books, an entire series dealing with the alphabet, beautiful message about diversity and inclusion. Hopefully he'll be able to work everything out and come on so he can share. His stories are awesome. And he's also Valley representation. He's always a wonderful, wonderful person and amazing to have. But those were some quick introductions, and I see some more people are hopping on. So if you are out there in Facebook or YouTube land, be sure to say hello, drop a comment. I can bring your comment up on screen. If you have any questions or anything you would like to say to the panelists, I can bring you on and we can interact with you. We want to make this as interactive as possible for a virtual event. And isn't it so fun that you can be, at home, enjoying your coffee, nice pajamas, and you can still talk to us and you can say hi. So be sure to comment and say hello and engage in that way. But we can begin with some more in-depth talk about your children's books. So beginning with Miss Rhonda Brown, what is Creation That's Me and what is the spinoff? And maybe what's the message? What sort of came about from that? Like, what was the inspiration? Tell us all about Creation That's Me and the other spinoff that you have.
Okay. Creation That's Me is a book that was birthed from when I was a little girl. I kind of played around with it and just wanted to do it and then kind of sit it on the side because went to college, started a family, and just forgot about it. And when the pandemic hit, I said, hey, I was at home. I wasn't working. So I had a whole 2 years to process it. So I said, let's do the book. So found a graphic designer, found a publisher, and just went for it. Creation That's Me is a book because I am also an educator and I've been in the classroom for over 30 years. I just went back to the classroom this year in August, and I'm a first grade teacher. And when I was in the classroom, I love to read books to my kids. And a lot of my kids, because I work in the heart of San Antonio, where we have a lot of underserved, underprivileged children. And I'm a Title I school. And the kids was like, Miss Brown, we don't see people that look like us in the book. So I was like, okay, we can do something about that. So as a result of that, that's what the real birth for Creation That's Me. So I got characters that look like my little ones, look like me. I've never seen a whole lot of dark Black people in the book. So that's what I put in my book, Creation That's Me. My Latino babies were like, we don't see ourselves, Miss Brown. So that's in the book. And then it's a lot of diversity. I'll tell you a quick story out of Creation That's Me is I have a little girl in there that has vitiligo, which is a skin condition. And I had a 30-year-old woman contact me after I released the book last year and said, I have never seen me represented in the book. And I just read it and cried. And I was like, okay, thank you. So I'm just grateful to be able to have produced something like this. And I give all glory and honor to God for that. The second book, Created to Be, Yes, It's Me, is like she said, a spinoff from the first book, because my characters in the first book have evolved and they are now working in their professions. So you'll see like my little autism girl, she owns her own business. So you'll see her walking in her own business. You'll see my little vitiligo girl. She is now a wonderful judge, Supreme Court judge. So it was just wonderful to be able to create these characters and then have my kids just really enjoy it. And 2 weeks ago, I was able to utilize it in my classroom because my district has said, hey, Ms. Brown, go for it. Let's implement this in our class, in the classroom here. So my first graders are so excited. A lot of their parents have already ordered the book or purchased the book. So I was really excited about that. And now I'm getting ready to venture out a little more. Last Saturday, I had a in-person book signing, partnered with a friend of mine that owns a restaurant here in San Antonio. And it was wonderful. I had kids come. I had people coming from far as Arizona. And I was like, wow. So was able to connect in that way. But it's just really been a blessing. And I'm just so grateful that I can say in my books that we don't war against each other as we represent our diversities, but come together and understand each other. And let's have fun learning about each other.
I love that so much. And the message is 100% needed. And that's what it's all about, to be able to put the message out there in the world and have people come back and say, hey, this touched me. I cried like this. I saw you and you saw me, and here it is. That's absolutely beautiful. And I love that very much. Very wonderful. Thank you so much. Yes. And Mr. David Norrick, tell us all about the adventures of XO and Psy. How did this come about? What is the message behind it? I know November is a wonderful month to be sharing the message. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so the adventures of XO and Psy follows a young boy, XO, and his dog Psy, which represent exercise. They live in the town of Obesity, where Mayor Diabetes wants everyone to be unhealthy. In this first book, in a book of series of 7 books, Chip and his dog Nacho are sent to steal everyone's healthy snacks, but not if XO and Psy have anything to say about it. So as the adventure ensues, there are 11 different exercises that readers are encouraged to do along with the characters. So by the end of reading the book, kids actually get an exercise workout and they learn about eating a healthy lifestyle. November is Diabetes Awareness Month. And unfortunately, this book was born because of tragedies in my life, personal tragedies. I lost my brother to diabetes in 2013. And I lost my sister to diabetes in 2014. And from those tragedies, I was inspired to write this book. The second book in the series will be called The Adventures of Arrow, which is a little girl. and her cat Bix, or aerobics. It's also going to take place in OB City, and they're going to continue to battle Mayor Diane Beatties until the final book in the series, where Exo and Psy will team up with Arrow and Bix to finally defeat Mayor Diane Beatties and turn OB City into a healthy city once and for all.
Awesome.
I love that so much. And again, it's always wonderful because I know you guys have such amazing messages that stem from so many different places, and they're different, there's a diversity in their topics, but to be able to come together and talk about it and just the sparks fly, and it's absolutely awesome. So Miss Claudia Villarreal, tell us a little bit about the alphabet thief who stole all the vowels and the bully who learned to love. Where did they come from? What are the messages? The floor is yours.
Well, I have a lot of things in common with Rhonda because I too give all glory to God, because these books were both born the same way. I woke up at 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning actually, between 3 and 4 in the morning, both times, and all of a sudden these words started coming in my head, and I just started writing them down. And that's how the books were born. And I was also an educator as well, and my favorite part was when kids would come, because I was always an elementary school educator, special education, and my favorite part was when the kids would gather around and it was story time. And I loved reading the stories. I think I enjoyed them sometimes more than the kids, but that's how I got into it. And then just given those stories were a blessing to me. So again, I have two books, The Alphabet Thief Who Stole the Vowels. And this book is about a thief who comes to our world, our land, takes all the vowels out, and none of the words make sense. So it focuses on the importance of reading. It introduces the vowels to the younger ones, right? And it also tells, we have 26 letters, but most all of our words, if not all our words, with a few exceptions like shy or sky, have the vowels. And if they don't have the vowels, they have a vowel sound, right? And so without these letters, we wouldn't be able to speak, so that's what this book talks about. And my third book is actually kind of a spin-off of The Alphabet Thief Who Stole the Vowels. So I'm excited. It talks about all the vowels and, the importance of them again, but specifically the actual characters in the third book will be more about the vowels. And another thing I want to say, this thief, he is a thief, but he learns how to share. So at the end, he learns how to share and he transforms himself. Just the same with the bully who learned to love, the bully becomes a buddy. And that focuses on acceptance and kindness. And it too speaks about everybody. And it talks about, the different races, the different religions, the different disabilities, and how we should all accept and embrace our differences instead of, pinpointing them out and making them something that, making them disability, you know what I mean? So we should be kind and embrace. And I'm super excited because I just trademarked Be Kind Always. And so I am so excited about that. It's one of my, I'm super happy, so.
That's amazing. Congratulations on that. That's going to open so many doors and avenues. That's amazing. And then again, I am just always in awe of all of you because I know children's books, they're special, right? Of all the literature, every book is important. Every story, every novel, every poem, every anthology, they're all important. But children's books just have that special little bit of magic because, you put them in the hands of kids, and that's how they become readers. That's how they learn about the world. That's how they're introduced to vocabulary. That's how we can talk about, difficult subjects and present it to them in a way that educates them, in a way that they like, in a way that can be engaging. So for all of you to not only have written a book, especially a children's book, but to incorporate those messages that are so important. They come from all different walks of life. But to be able to see that you're building this foundation and planting those seeds, it's absolutely beautiful. And I commend you all. And I'm so happy to have you all here sharing with the audience and telling the world all about your amazing story. So thank you all for taking the time today. You guys are amazing. And again, for anybody on Facebook or YouTube, if you want to comment and say hello, or if you have any questions, I can bring them up on screen and we can engage. We want to make this as audience interactive as possible. So say hello or ask a question. They are here to answer and speak and talk, and it'll be a fun time. So my next question for you all would be, How did your journey as a writer begin? I know you talked about how the books came about and what the inspirations for that were, but was it solely, like we say, that big light that opened up and the words came in? Or, growing up, were you a writer? Did you have journals or did you have notebooks? Or even were you a reader? Were you in the library? Were you asking for books for Christmas? Did you always want Hello Kitty notebooks with scented pens and big fuzzy bookmarks? That was just me. Okay. So,
No.
what were you a reader? Yes. So, were you a reader growing up? Were you a writer growing up? Where did this start? Beginning with Miss Rhonda Brown.
I was not a writer growing up, but I was definitely a reader. I was raised by my auntie, and she was a teacher's assistant. And so she taught us everything. Like when I was 2, I could read, I could write my name, I knew my ABCs, because she was just like hardcore. You're going to learn it and you're going to love it. And ever since then, I've loved reading. And once I got into the classroom and my kids started saying they don't see a representation of them in the book, that's when I said, okay, let me write a book. And I have been having fun. Just like Claudia said, I am also writing my 3rd book. And it has nothing to do with the first 2. It's about aunties and aunties' love and what aunties do for you. The relationship with your auntie is it's not like any other, not like with your mom. Those aunties, they just have a special relationship. If you want something, go to your auntie and you're going to get it. So that 3rd book is going to be about an auntie, but that's my writing came from that. But my love for reading was from with my family growing up. We went to the library, we had fun, we could escape and do different things reading a book. And growing up in San Antonio in the projects, that was like a big thing for me. We could go to the library and just escape and imagine, hey, one day I'm going to have this huge house that's in this book. So just let me use my imagination. And that's where I developed my love for reading from.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned that it's that escape, And like books are doors and books are portals. You can learn about people, you can see these different worlds either through the pictures in the book or even once you get to chapter books and novels. It's just absolutely amazing that you can carry an entire person's head in their world and then the little spines between, and that's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. And David Norrick, how did your love of writing begin, or how did that start? Were you a reader growing up? Were you a writer growing up? Did it just come one day and you never looked back? The rest is history. How did that begin?
I grew up loving reading as a little kid. I would get as far ahead as I could in class. And then for some reason, I hated reading. I'm being honest. But I went from loving to hating to eventually loving it again, because I think as a kid, it was more of I was forced to read. And sometimes the love gets taken away when that happens. But then I just started reading on my own and I really loved it. And I ended up getting an English major in college. And from there, I never thought I would write a book. I loved reading them, but I never thought I would write one. And I actually wrote like a novel. I wrote a novel first, and I thought, wow, this might be the way that I'm going to get into writing. And it's still there, but it's been through writing a children's book. I never expected it, never thought I would do it, but it's been really cool. But yeah, it was later in life when I discovered the love of reading again, which naturally progressed into a love of writing. And I always tried to teach my kids that I was also a teacher, and I would writing English teacher, and so I would always encourage the kids to I would try to get them to have a love for reading, but also for writing. And yeah, that's how it went for me.
I love that so much because, it shows that life is full of twists and turns. You never know, again, you'll always come back to reading. It's never going to go away. It's always, you're always going to come back. And again, just, you never know, maybe starting off in one thing that might not be for you, but it's through learning you're able to do, and then maybe it doesn't work out, those little trials and obstacles and tribulations and things that you find what you're really going to end up with. And that's wonderful. And we did have a comment about that come in from J. Anthony Brown, say, great conversation, the love of reading, it's good to hear talk about reading in an honest way. So thank you very much for your comment, and thank you very much for your answer, David. It resonates. The honesty definitely resonates. And Miss Claudia Villarreal, how did writing begin for you? Were you always a writer, or were you always a reader? Did it come later in life? Was it from day one you knew that's what was going to happen? What's the story?
Well, actually, I didn't know that was going to happen from day one, but I have loved reading since I was a little girl. I would walk into, my parents' room, and my mom was always reading a book before she went to. As a matter of fact, my sister is named after the Odyssey, so she was reading the Odyssey. So my sister is named after that book. She was always reading, and then in the fourth grade, my love of reading grew because one of my teachers, Miss Martinez, and she knows that I tell her this all the time. After lunch, which was one of my favorite things throughout the day, lunch. Sorry, David, but love lunch. And after lunch, she would do a 15 minutes just to decompress, and she would read Super Fudge and Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. And I was always looking forward to seeing what would happen next. So my mom would read, and I in the fourth grade I joined Ready Writing as well. And so that's basically, I've loved reading my whole life, but being an author, I had no idea I was ever going to do. I think it actually chose me, and now it's the best thing that I never knew. I never knew this is what I was going to love, and I do. I absolutely love it. So.
I love that. You never know. It chooses you. The words come, and words are powerful, and you're able to spread the messages. That's absolutely amazing. And so again, for anyone tuning in on Facebook or YouTube, say hello, ask a question. I can bring it up. We can engage in conversation. But we will move on to my next question, which is, what is your current occupation, and how do you balance that with writing? So is writing your full-time career, and this is what you do? And if it is, congrats to you. And how do you balance, the writing with the editing and the marketing and the visits and stuff like this? But if it's not your occupation, what do you do? And how does, one come into another? Are you up at 3 a.m. like me, and that's your prime time as a night owl to continue to generate the work? Or do you take time out of your day? Does your job deal with it? How do you balance writing with your current occupation, starting with Miss Rhonda Brown?
Well, my current occupation is I am a first grade teacher. I am loving it. But also, as I mentioned before, I have been doing it for over 30 years. So I'm looking forward to retiring. But this will be a way for me to still be interactive and involved with the kiddos with my reading. I just love it, and I'm having fun.
I love that a lot. And again, it always persists. Even if you retire, and even if you hang up, the teacher's coat, the books will always be in the hands. There will always be kids to read. There will always be a message to spread. I love that a lot.
Exactly.
And Mr. David Norrick, what is your current occupation, and how do you balance that with writing? Or how is writing your occupation and all that you do?
Yeah, this is currently my full-time job. And it's been really amazing. It's been difficult. It's been challenging, but it's also so rewarding. There's been times when, I don't know why, I guess I'm being so honest this morning, but there's been times when I've really wanted to just turn and walk away completely from this. But then I look back, and somebody gave me some great advice. And they said, when you get discouraged, always go back to why you did this. And when I go back to that, I think immediately to my brother and sister. I think back to immediately where I was driving. I was working as a teacher at a wonderful school, and I was going home, and I stopped at a stoplight. There was nobody around me, and it was a simple prayer to God: if you want me to do something different with my life, put it in my heart right now. And almost immediately, these words, these ideas came into my mind. And so every time I get discouraged, I think back, this is why, God put this in your heart. And you need to go around, and you need to go talk to kids about eating healthy and exercise. And until this door completely closes, I'm going to keep doing this with all the passion that I can. And I'm so blessed to be able to say that right now, this is what I'm doing full time.
It's a blessing, and it's an inspiration, because it is difficult to take this and have it be your one and only thing that you are doing. It's scary. You might not know, what obstacle is going to come next. Is it going to be all success? Are we going to have, some down points? So for you to be doing this as your career, and again, be filled with so much love and passion for it, even if the discouragements come, you're doing amazing. Your message is 100% needed to be heard by audiences. And you have people here and on the Facebook interwebs and lots of dear friends who are always supporting you. So thank you so very much for keeping going. And again, hats off to having this be your full-time career. That's absolutely amazing. And for Miss Claudia Villarreal, what about for you? Any of occupation and how you balance that with writing, or writing all the time? How does it work?
Well, since David is being honest, I'm going to be completely honest too. I'm so glad that I'm here because I feel like I can relate to that fear, to that, what's going to happen next. If you would have asked me this about a year and a half ago, I would have told you I was a franchise owner. I owned the edible arrangements in Laredo, Texas for 9 years. I had a transportation company. I was transporting cars to and from. I was doing auditions because I'm a Screen Actors Guild member, and then I started doing this. In 2019, going into 2020, I let everything go. I sold everything to just focus on this because I had 2 and 3 schools a day. I visited between September and March. I must have visited, close to 200 schools. This is what I was doing, and I couldn't keep up with everything. So I sold everything. I let everything go. And then I remember my last presentation was going to be May 10th. It was going to be a Saturday, and it was here in San Antonio because they had a festival, and one of the districts here had a festival. And March 13th, I believe that was on a Friday, and that was my last presentation, Friday the 13th. And I went from having so many different jobs to having nothing. And it was extremely, extremely scary. And I've been in survival mode ever since. But this is what I want to do because, like David, I'm like, what do I do, God? I don't know what to do. You gave me this gift. You gave me this message. And yet the world shut it down. How am I supposed to go out there? And for some reason, you keep surviving. You keep surviving. You keep surviving because you have to have that faith and that belief that this is what you're meant to do. And so for now, I'm doing odd jobs here and there. And, if it doesn't pick up or work out, I might have to go back to school. I even got my real estate license because I thought maybe I'll do that. I have my degrees and everything. I have something to fall back on. But when you really want to do something and have it be your main, focus, you keep going. So.
I love this. And you guys are I've said it so many times, but because it's absolutely true. You all are beautiful people with beautiful hearts. And I love the honesty, like being able to put it out there. Like this is real. We're having real conversations. And you guys are just so amazing. And it's absolutely true. If this is the talent that you have, if this is a message that you want to share and put out into the world, even if it's difficult, even if obstacles come your way, make it happen, and it 100% pays off. You all are amazing, and I wish you all of the best successes in everything that happens and everything to come. So one more time for anybody on Facebook or YouTube, if you want to say hi or ask a question, drop a comment. I'll bring it up. We could have cool conversations. And we've sort of touched on it a little bit. I know you guys have been sharing some of these stories. I know some people come on and come off, so maybe they didn't hear it before if you want to repeat it. But do you have any interesting or close to your heart stories about writing, or maybe an experience as an author, or maybe something that happened either in the writing process and you thought, oh my gosh, this is something I'm going to remember for years to come? Or maybe while you were giving a presentation, or while you were engaging with a reader, while you were watching someone read your work, did something happen and that's always going to stay close to your heart? Do you have any stories pertaining to your writing career that you're just always going to love and you're always going to remember? Starting with Miss Rhonda Brown.
Okay. When I started writing my book during the pandemic, my daughter called me and she said, hey, you should do a Facebook Live. I was like, that's way out of my comfort zone. She's like, no, do it. She said, you have everything that you need right there at your home, so go ahead and do it. And I was like, well, this could be a way for me to continue to reach out to the children since we're not in school during this pandemic. So I said, well, okay, I'll think about it. She's like, no, don't think about it. Just do it. I was like, okay. So the next week, which was March 13th, that next following week, I was doing a Facebook Live doing read-alouds to children. So I read any type of books. I read books, I would have the parents call and let me know, hey, you want to read this book? So just different books. And then I would bring them, or if something was going on in the world, like the pandemic, I began to read those books because they were being published. So I've just been having fun doing it. And that's kind of how all of this evolved through the writing and then doing the Facebook Live. I've been doing it now for getting ready to be 2.5 years because I do it every Friday. And the kids have been having fun. And it's so funny when I go back to work like on Mondays and one of the kids have seen the Facebook Live like this past week. A little boy from my classroom was logged on with his mom and he was like, I saw you on the TV, Miss Brown. So I was like, well, thank you for watching. He was just so excited. And now my mommy's going to get the book. So it's just been a joy just to see how reading has been able to just kind of evolutionize things when there's so many things going on in the world, but still keeping the kids happy because the kids knew something was wrong when school stopped and the pandemic hit. They knew something was definitely wrong. And some of them didn't know how to express it. So they've been able to express it. In my classroom, we are writing a book right now about how the pandemic affected them. And so I hope to be able to compile all of this year's events and put it into a book and get it published.
That's absolutely awesome. And it's always a joy, especially like the little ones and the children to be like, I saw you and like I read. And again, the messages are beautiful. The interaction is great. And we will plug your story time later at the end. Make sure the audience knows what's going on. We'll definitely bring that up later on. No. And while you were speaking, we had a comment from YouTube come in from Michelle Payton saying, I love the stories that y'all are telling from your past that kept you interested in reading and the love for reading turned into writing. These are awesome examples, and I am so glad you're sharing. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate the comments and interaction. And again, anyone on Facebook or YouTube land, if you have a question or just want to say hi, just want to say, I agree, or something nice, drop a comment. I can bring it up. We can engage that way. And so, David Norrick, do you have any interesting or close to your heart stories that happened either in the writing process, actual authorship? What would you like to share?
Yeah. So this year, well, something really, when you get discouraged, you always look for some kind of pick me up, right? And so, earlier this year in 2021, HEB had this their annual Quest for Texas Best competition, and normally they it's just food products. And so this year they opened it up to non-food products as well. And I thought, you know what, let me give it a shot. What do I have to lose, right? We're in the middle of a pandemic. I'm sitting here at home. I can make a video and send it to them as an entry. And I am so proud that, and it was at a time when I was getting a little discouraged, not much was going on. And I get the news that I was the first non-food product finalist for the HEB Quest for Texas Best. And it's just it's such an honor. I was up in San Antonio for the competition, got to meet a lot of wonderful people, working now on getting the book in HEB because of that. And just to be honored like that, again, it's been times like that when I've questioned whether I should be doing what I'm doing. And it's like God steps in and says, I'm not ready to close that door yet. I'm going to open up this door for you. And that was one of the coolest things, just for me, confirmation that, that this book might be doing something right for the community. And it's just a great honor. I'm very humbled by it. I don't say it to brag by any means. I just wanted to share a story of, when I was a little down with what I was doing, it was just a great way that lifted me up.
I love that so much because it's definitely a testament to, if you don't push past obstacles, you have no idea what's waiting for you on the other side. There are tests, and sometimes things are going to show up in your life that you got to push past, and it might be a little rough, but you have no idea what blessings and rewards wait on the other side if you persevere, and hard work is always rewarded. Thank you for sharing, and congratulations. That is amazing. Oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad. And so, Miss Claudia Villarreal, any close to your heart stories about either the writing process or things as an author, things that happened with readers, special distinctions, anything that you keep close to your heart as you've progressed?
Yeah, well, like David, every time you question something, God sends you a sign. It's okay, you're on the right path. With The Alphabet Thief Who Stole the Vowels, because it was published so long ago, it was like, over 10 years ago, I didn't know all these awards and any, anything existed, with that long ago. But as you grow and you learn, when I published the Bully Who Learned to Love, it actually won several awards. It won, the New York Big City Big Book Award, first place children's fiction. It won like 3 Purple Dragonfly Awards. And so it kept me going. And then every time I would start to question it, little things would happen here and there. I mean, I've been blessed with pictures of little ones that are holding the book, falling asleep with it. They send me pictures and I'm like, oh yay, it's working, something's happening, And I just got an email too from somebody that I met, and I was hosting a show, and she was like, "You're so funny, how can I find you?" And I told her about the book, and she emailed me, and she said, "You're an inspiration. I'm a Latina too, and you're an inspiration. Keep doing what you're doing." And I was like, "Okay, I can't stop." Because you think like, what am I gonna do after this? But so I just got that email a couple of days ago, and then when I was promoting the book, I had people like Intocable and people like, Paulina Chavez and people like even Eva Longoria shared it on her Instagram. And I was like, what? Somebody called me up and they were like, Eva shared your the book. And I took a picture, I screenshotted it. I was like so happy, that people, Valente Rodriguez from the George Lopez Show, they plugged my book, and I don't even know how I became involved in all of that, but to me, they're just blessings. But I do get the happiest when I get the pictures of the kids enjoying and reading the book. That is the ultimate goal more than anything.
I love that so much. And again, that just the testament of you never know what's going to be waiting for you. And when you're down, God and life have a way of just, planting that, but keep going. You're doing fine. You're doing great. There's greater things to come. That's amazing. I love it so much. And we had some comments coming in. We have a question from Raul Martinez Jr. I know the answer, but I will have David take the floor saying, David, I've seen The Adventures of Exo and Psy as an ebook. Is it available in print?
Hey, Raul, thank you so much for the question. Yes, it's available for print. You can go to davidnorrick.com and it's available to purchase there for print. And of course, the ebook is always for free on my website.
Very nice. I lost my banners. Hold on. Okay, wait, where are the comments? There we go. And we also had someone coming in, Mrs. Rosario Ozuna, who is always a wonderful supporter. She will be on a panel tomorrow from One Book or Novel at a Time on YouTube saying, hi, everyone. So nice to meet you all. I'm excited. Thank you so much for tuning in, Rosario. You are always a wonderful supporter. So happy you could watch. And again, to anybody on Facebook or YouTube, if you have questions, if you'd like to say hello, say something nice, go ahead and leave a comment and I can bring it up and we can interact and engage. So my next question deals more on the advice side of things, because I know you all have amazing messages. You all have amazing stories and journeys as to how you got at this point in your life. But what about, for people who are just starting out? Maybe they're starting writing or they have the idea and they want to put it out into the world as a book and become an author. What advice would you give to them? Either practically in terms of actual, the practice of writing or getting published, or more in the abstract of, obstacles that they may face, things that might get in the way. What advice would you give to people who are trying to become a writer and get on that author track, starting with Miss Rhonda Brown?
I would say just do it. If you've had it in you and you've been thinking about it, just do it. Launch out there. Just do it. I thought it was very difficult. I was seeking out different people and didn't get the answers. And finally, I just committed to God and prayed and was like, okay, God, you're going to have to help me. And sure enough, everything, I think Claudia mentioned earlier, everything just began to fall in place and fall in line. And I got in touch with the right people out of just doing some of your own research. And there's so much stuff out there right now. You can do a Google search and have your answers within minutes. So if you have it in you to do it, just do it. And trust me, there are so many books that people have within them that have not been written, but the world needs to know what you have to say.
I love that so much. Thank you for that. And absolutely true. 100% true. Words to live by for sure. And so, David Norrick, do you have any advice to aspiring writers or authors in their journey and what they want to accomplish?
Yeah, 10 words. do not give the enemy a seat at the table.
Yes.
And by that, what I mean by that is, look, you're going to have wonderful. I've been blessed to have a lot of wonderful people that have been supportive, that have always encouraged me. But there have also been a lot of people who have said, you're trying to live a crazy dream. It's not going to happen. You need to go back to a regular day job. And so don't let don't let the wrong people come sit at the table and have an influence on what you want to do. If this is a dream and a passion that you have, you just keep going, keep moving forward, just take the next step forward. And you have to be able to tune those people out and just keep going. And you're gonna question sometimes during this journey, are you a success or are you a failure? Well, then how do you determine a success or a failure? Am I a failure because it's not a New York Times bestseller, or am I a success because one child might be able to change his life because of something that I've written? So just keep moving forward and do not let the enemy have a seat at the table.
I love that sentiment a lot, just because I feel like that's one of the biggest obstacles that people face when they're trying to get their book out in the world or just share their stories. It's a scary thing to take this, personal piece of you and put it out for people to read. And as with anything that goes out in the world, there's going to be, scrutinization. There are going to be people who say, this was great, this was wonderful, and that support system, it's amazing, but there's always going to be those downers. And sometimes that's all it takes to crack a dream a little bit. And so definitely to keep pursuing, and you're always going to have support systems. And I love that you mentioned, even if one child reads the book and the message is there and they continue on and have a changed life or perspective because of that, that makes all the difference in the world. Thank you so very much for sharing. And Ms. Claudia Villarreal, for you, any advice based on actual writing or authorship? What would you like to share with people who are trying to get where you are today?
Well, the same thing, we all start somewhere. As far as the professional side, join groups, get on Facebook, join authors groups. There's a lot of people out there, more than you know, that are facing the same struggles, and we can help each other. I've always been a big, advocate of helping other people, because I've seen other people that don't want to share their secrets and don't want, and it's like, there's room enough for everybody. So when you come across a struggle or an obstacle, like both Rhonda and David said, don't let it stop you, because, and these are the two things that I remember. One, there was a story, because I was also, trying to do other things like act and everything. There was a story where this, great actor was speaking in front of a room full of people, and he was telling them how hard it was and how much struggling and everything he went through, kind of trying to discourage them. So after the speaker, was done, one of the students came up to him and said, if you're trying to be a motivator, why did you come up here and say all these things that you faced and all the struggles and everything? He said, because if you let that, deter you from pursuing it, you're never going to be successful. And so it always stayed with me, because it's the truth. There's going to be a lot of naysayers. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to tell you, your dream is crazy. Trust me, I've heard the word crazy more times in my life than I care to count. But only the people that follow through are successful. You cannot fail at something unless you give up. So don't give up. And the other thing was, my agent told me this, and then I'll leave you with this. My agent told me this, because I was like, well, I can do this, I can do that. She said, great, then you're the best kept secret. Don't be the best kept secret. If you have something to share with the world, share it and say it. And sometimes you're going to have a small start and a slow start, because we all start from nothing almost. And it takes years sometimes, but don't stop. Regardless of what you do, if this is what you want to do, don't stop.
I love that so much, and I feel like you're all a testament to that you keep pursuing, you keep going, even if it's, having spent 30 years in the classroom and then bringing this to life, even if it's having this idea and there's obstacles and there's things that you come up, don't stop, because you have no idea the audience that you're going to reach after that, and what the rewards and blessings are in store for you later on. I love that so much. And we also have some comments coming in about people saying, yes, agree. So one book or novel at a time on YouTube. Rosario Azuna says, that's awesome. So cool. Thank you so very much, Rosario. J. Anthony Brown says, I love that advice. Don't give the enemy a seat at the table. Rhonda Brown has one she says all the time. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. 100% true. And he also gave clapping hands to Claudia's little sentiment, which is absolutely amazing. So we still have time for more questions. Again, anybody on Facebook or YouTube, if you want to give some input, if you want to ask a question, share some words, please feel free to do so. I can bring it up and we can interact. The audience engagement is awesome. So one of my final questions would be, what do you see for your future pertaining to writing or otherwise? I know we've talked about it a little bit before, but I've seen the numbers go up and we have some people logging on who might not have been on earlier. So any projects that you're working on in terms of future books, personal career goals, like things outside of writing, just what can we expect to see from you in the weeks or months or years to come, starting with Miss Rhonda Brown?
Well, I'm looking forward to doing this full time, like David. Thank you, David, for encouraging me. Like I mentioned before, I do have a third book in the making, and it stems from my personal relationship with my aunties. I was raised by my aunties. There were three of them. It was my mom and her two sisters. They all three are now deceased. But they left me with wonderful memories. And my sister and I were talking about how we have one aunt that used to love to take Walmart trips, and she'd call us like at midnight, let's go to Walmart. And so I will be putting that in the book about aunties, and I'm just so excited to get it done. However, because I've been in the classroom full time, it's been like taking baby steps getting it finished. So I'm looking forward to doing that within the next few months, getting it finished and getting it published. And I'm so excited. I'm just loving this journey that I'm on. And I thank God that I didn't, as Claudia said, didn't let the naysayers stop me from doing what I wanted to do. And J. Anthony Brown is my husband. He stole my thunder because I was going to put my hands up, because every time I look at my 10 fingers, that is my scripture. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. And that's what I tell my kids when they think that they can't do it. I said, just look at your hand. And that is a testament to you that you can do anything and don't give up.
I love that so much. That's absolutely wonderful and 100% true. Absolutely amazing testament. And we also had Miss Rosario Ozuna chime in saying, wow, beautiful words. So the message is getting across. The audience is being reached. How wonderful. So, Mr. David Norrick, what is in the store for your future, either writing or personal or otherwise? We want to hear all about it.
Yeah, first off, Rhonda, thank you. That's my verse as well. I'm going to use that from now on. That's awesome. A couple of things. One, I've promised at every school visit that I do, these kids that every November a new book will come out until, Exo and Psi and Arrow and Bix finally defeat Mayor Diabetes. So as difficult as it may be, I'm going to keep writing. I'm going to make sure that a new book is released every November to coincide with Diabetes Awareness Month, to coincide with my sister's heavenly birthday. That's number one. And two, Katelynn, something that you helped organize here in the Valley, to do story walk parks, or what I like to call fitlit parks. And for anybody who hasn't heard of these, what they've done, what the South Texas Literacy Coalition and with the awesome help of Katelynn, what they've done is they've put my book into big metal signs that have been placed along a park, so families can read as they walk. And then when they get to one of the exercises, they can scan the QR code and it'll take them to the actual exercise, and they can get their exercise workout as they walk. So Fitlit, they're getting their fitness mentally by reading and physically by doing the exercises. So hopefully I've already talked to the city of Giddings, and we're going to try to get a Fitlit park over there. And San Antonio, with the HEB connections that I have now, I can't wait to get up there and put these parks all over, not just all over Texas, but all over the country. I really intend to try to do that.
Wow.
absolutely wonderful. The South Texas Literacy Coalition did a fantastic job. I'm very honored to serve on their board, and so to be able to bring that to life, we were looking for programming. We were thinking, how can we, incorporate and make these things happen? So David Norrick was perfect with the whole fitness aspect, and it's true. You walk down the path, and his book is in giant signs, and you can see the pages. You can read the stories. I had to go to college to talk to a professor, and on the way back, I passed by one of the parks because that's not the city that I live in, but I passed by and I said, "That's Davis." We went and we took pictures. It was so much fun. So I'm so glad. It's a great community thing. It's always wonderful to be able to incorporate different ways to have literacy in something as awesome as fitness. And so Fit Lit Parks sounds awesome. I love the name. That's amazing. And we had a comment from J. Anthony Brown coming in. Wow, that's awesome. Talk about being engaging. 100%. And then while Claudia and Rhonda were speaking earlier, one book or novel at a time did come in saying, I love that. There's room for everyone. Always 100%. And so, Ms. Claudia, do you have any future projects that we can see for you? What's coming up in the future? Writing, otherwise? What's going on?
Well, first of all, I want to say that's awesome, the concept that you all are talking about, and congratulations, David, on that. Well, I'm going to take a page from David's book, and I'm probably going to enter the HEB contest he's talking about. Hopefully it's open to everybody. The Alphabet Thief Who Stole the Vowels is getting a brand new cover. I'm working on that, revamping and doing a second edition. I'll probably do one every 10 years. Try to do that. Also because I want to release the third book, which is going to, go really, really well or hand in hand with the Alphabet Thief Who Stole the Vowels. And then, of course, the third book as well. I'm working on that. And something I'm really excited about, and I'm going to share this for the first time. I'm going to grab this up here. I have been working on products to go along with the book. So my first products are going to be plushes, and I would send a bunch of samples I am so excited. But we have our winners down here, so they're going to do a few modifications. But I asked kids, I polled kids, and these are the winners for the Buddy and Alfie. So these will be available hopefully in March or April. He's gonna smile though. He's in a little bit of a guilty mood. But I will now have the plushes available with the books, and I'm so excited about that. So yeah.
Congratulations! That's amazing.
Thank you.
It's one thing to have like merchandise, which is amazing, but there's just something about plushies. There's just something about a little character and monito that you can.
And then to see the characters, in little versions, plush versions of them, it's exciting.
That's so wonderful. Congratulations. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. The right crowd. We've got exclusive information, guys. Thank you so much for sharing with the audience today. That's awesome. And again, to anybody on Facebook or YouTube, if you'd like to share a sentiment, ask a question, we've got a little bit more time left to hop on and say hello. And my last questions pertain to National Family Literacy Month, because I know November is an important month for a lot of different things, and National Family Literacy Month is one of them. And so I want to know, how did literacy play a part in your life growing up? Did your families instill that in you and practice National Family Literacy Month practices where you would read books, you would go to libraries? Was that something that you did, where you were always, trying to read, trying to write? And then how have you practiced, National Family Literacy, maybe with your own families or with other people that you interact with? And how can families continue to practice National Family Literacy Month, not just in November, but beyond? Reading at home, going to the library, things like that. Basically, I threw a lot at you, but basically all things National Family Literacy Month. Growing up, how did it impact you? How did you practice it with your families? And how can families continue to do so, starting with Miss Rhonda Brown?
Growing up, yes, we went to the library. We had fun with it. It wasn't like a chore that they made us do it, but we had fun and we looked forward to going to the library. I did it with my son and my daughter. Sometimes they hated it because they had to do book reports, or they would ask me or my husband a question, And we're like, how about you look that up and get back with us and we can all talk about it. And sometimes they be like, oh, why did I ask? But we used to have fun with it. And then now I am doing it, as I mentioned before, I continue to do it with my students by having the Facebook Live read aloud. So I'm having fun with that, and the kids are enjoying it. And I found out probably 6 months into it that the adults were enjoying it as much as the children were. I try to find affirming books that have good messages in them, and some of the adults would share with me and say, hey, I just realized that I didn't receive a whole lot of that affirmation. So now I'm going to turn it around for myself and self-care, and also instill it in my children and my grandchildren. So that's how I just keep it going like year round, because reading is very important.
Thank you so very much. Wonderful answer, wonderful insight. I love that a lot. Thank you. And David Norrick, how did National Family Literacy Month, how was literacy in your life when you were growing up? How do you do it with your own family? Or how can families continue to celebrate National Family Literacy, not just in November, but beyond?
I was always encouraged and told that the better educated I was, and by that I mean, the more I read, the better off I was going to be. And nobody can, no matter what they take away from your life, they can never take away your education, and especially getting it from books. So I was never pushed adversely by my family. I was always encouraged and to love reading. And so when I became a teacher, I told kids, hey, 10 minutes a night, just read something. And and I would encourage the parents, don't force a book down the kid's throat. If they want to read a magazine, hey, at least they're reading, they're gaining knowledge. So let them choose what they want to read. Give them a part in the process. That way they're not going to hate reading. And so I've always encouraged my parents and my kids, read something at least 10 minutes a day. And by the time you know it, you're going to want to keep reading more and more and more. Those 10 minutes are going to turn to half an hour to an hour a day, because you're going to love it so much. And so one thing I'm encouraging, one thing I'm going to do personally is my neighbor is actually building a book nook for me that I'm going to place outside my house. So anybody around the neighborhood could come, borrow a book, borrow it permanently if they want. But as long as they keep reading, I know I spoke to John with the South Texas Literacy Coalition. He's like, as soon as you get it built, let me know. I'll donate books for that thing. Hey, and if anything I can do to encourage reading, I'm going to be doing it. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness. Especially the book nook. It all works. It all comes together, Everything happens for a reason. A book nook is an amazing, amazing idea. And then just, always finding little ways to spread it. And the more impact that you have, even if you just touch that one kid or that one family that's going to find it and love it and pursue, that makes all the difference. Thank you so much for sharing. And Miss Claudia Villarreal, how did, literacy impact your upbringing? How did your family instill it in you? How did you practice with your family? And how can families continue to do so from November and beyond?
Okay, well, I don't have any kids of my own, but I do have nephews, and so I'm an aunt. Just like Rhonda said, aunties are important, right? But I remember my aunt, one of my aunts, or my madrina, she's my godmother. She would not only read to me, just like, well, my mom also read to me a lot, but my aunt would not only read to me, but she would create stories for me, right? So I grew up with my mom and my aunt reading to me constantly, instilling that in me. And my grandmother too, when I would bring home an assignment, she would, kind of focus on the importance of reading and learning and growing. So I encourage, just like my teacher in the 4th grade did, she set aside 15 minutes, maybe set aside 15 minutes, 30 minutes, at least 2-3 times a week, where you sit down and you continue a story, you read a story, maybe go to the library and practice doing this and make it a habit, because we all know habits take at least 21 days, right? I wouldn't know, I can't last on a diet that long, but we all know habits at least last 21 days. So make it a habit. And if you do and you practice this, that's what it's going to become. And hopefully they'll, in turn, when they grow up, do the same thing. And it's something that we can, I guess, cherish with our parents or aunts or uncles, with, generations to come.
Thank you so very much. 100% words to live by, and just you guys' messages are amazing. You've got that common thread of having, the children's books and things like that, but it goes so much deeper because you can see it. It's apparent here, and I know it's apparent in all that you do that this comes from the heart. And you're doing this because you love it. You're doing it because there's a passion for it, and 100% I applaud you. And this is so fun. It's always wonderful to see you all, and even virtually we're still able to connect and share the stories. It's always amazing. So thank you so very much to everyone in Facebook and YouTube land who visited and chimed in, left a comment, watched. We appreciate all the support. And a final wrap up before we go. For people who just absolutely loved you all and can't get enough and they want to know more, where can we find more information about you? So social media, websites. If people want to know more about Rhonda Brown, David Norik, and Claudia Villarreal, where can they go? Starting with Miss Rhonda Brown.
Well, you can go to my website, www.mrsbrownslibrary.com, or you can meet me on Friday evenings at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time for Storytime with Mrs. Brown SA Live.
Thank you so very much. Oh, that's amazing. And David Norrick, where can people find more information on you after this?
People can go on my website, www.davidnorek.com. I have the ebook to download for free there. I have a YouTube video with a personal trainer where I read the book and she directs you in the exercises. It's a good half-hour workout, so be prepared. I have lesson plans for schools, coloring pages, and other great stuff there. And I just started a TikTok. It should be at fit_lit. So follow, please.
I love that. Thank you so very much. And Miss Claudia Villarreal, any plugs or social media? Where can we find you after this if we want to know more and find out more information on those plushies? I'm so excited.
Well, everything I usually put on Facebook, which is if you search for The Bully Who Learned to Love or The Alphabet Thief Who Stole the Vowels, you can find them on Facebook. You could also find them. We're working on the website, dreamstarpublications.com. We're working on revamping that as well, and hopefully the plushes. It's going to be 4 different ones. So it's going to be Alfie, Buddy. It's going to be the pillow heart that he's hugging. Actually here. So he's hugging this balloon, and this pillow is going to be made. This is going to be made into a pillow plush, and then also with The Alphabet Thief Who Stole the Vowels, you'll be able to find finger puppets. So the AEIOU finger puppets. So those will all be available hopefully hopefully by April. So we're looking at the March, April, date range. So I'm excited.
I am
and
too.
thank you, Katelynn.
Yes, of course. I am too. Even if they're coming out in March or April, I want that heart for Christmas. That's adorable. How wonderful. But again, yes, thank you all so very much for joining. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. You guys have such amazing messages, and there's just something magical that happens when good people come together and they're able to share their stories and share their messages, especially in something as important and amazing as reading and writing. You guys are amazing, and I thank you for taking time out of your Saturday to come and talk with me and talk about reading and all these fun things. So to everyone on Facebook and YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed. The Right Crowd is not over. This was panel number 2, and we have another one coming up at 1 o'clock, another one at 3, and another one at 4. It continues tomorrow all day Sunday, and we have 2 more next weekend. So The Right Crowd 2021 is here, hopefully to happen every year, and we will continue to showcase all of these wonderful people and all that they do. We wish you all the very best in everything that you do endeavors, whether it be writing, whether it be your lives, and I just love you all so much. Thank you so much for taking time to come today.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.